Hi, everybody. This is Rick here. Welcome to Digital Fortress. Going to do a live stream this afternoon, this evening, U.S. time, late at night, European time. Just give me a moment while I get set up here. I'm going to do a review of the current status of the Cardano Testnet and Daedalus Wallet. So, okay, looks good. Got a link there. Looks like everything came up correctly. And also a Q&A. So that if you have questions about something, you can ask me and hopefully I can answer it. And I know it's Friday evening, so a lot of people are probably out doing Friday evening things rather than watching YouTube. Okay, so make sure we set up here. There it goes. Okay. I'm running everything on battery power right now. Everything is wireless. Because I'm on travel to San Diego. I'm at the beautiful Hacienda Hotel. It's beautiful here. Hello, Uncle Chop Chop. How you doing? And Vios Toreros. How you doing, sir? Okay. So here's what I'm going to be going over for this Cardano testnet update. And Daedalus is the status versions of Jormungandr, how the testnet is going, different features of the testnet currently in use, what will and what is and is not there, and how Daedalus is doing, and a few of the other updates, how I'm running my nodes, and also any questions that you might have. Please let me know in the chat. So I have the chat up so I can see it there. If you got any questions, just let me know. All right, so for starters, let's go over the current status of the testnet. Okay, right now, the latest version of Jormungandr that's been released is 0.8.13. The dominant version of Jormungandr being used on the testnet is 0.8.9, and there are multiple variants of 0.8.9 because that appears to be the most performant version. Now, the good news is that the testnet is very stable, reliable, distributed, and resilient. It's showing all these properties whenever we check the nodes. Now, currently, I'm not looking at my nodes. I'm on travel to San Diego. I have two technicians taking care of it. Kyle and Christian, they're doing a great job keeping the nodes running. However, the testnet as a whole, I check in on Telegram quite frequently, and the operator is reporting pretty good performance on all the variants of 0.8.9 primarily, 0.8.13, and there's a few people still running 0.8.7. You can see it on Pool Tool by going to the network status or one of the selectors on Pool Tool, and you can see that. The 0.8.9 version is mostly IOHK code, over 99%, but Michael Fazio, a community member who's also a software engineer, made some modifications to that variant to improve stability and the communications with the REST interface, and it's working really well. So the testnet is nice and solid and stable, and some people reporting good performance out of 0.8.13 also. And there was an AMA earlier from Charles Hoskinson. If you haven't seen that, check it out. You've probably already seen it, but the end of life for the testnet will be the end of March. That's when they'll stop releasing updates to the Rust Jormungandr code. And at that point, we'll be transitioning onto Haskell code and also onto the mainnet. Okay. Uncle Chop Chop says he's really struggling to get his testnet Daedalus going. He hasn't been able to access the stake wallets for over a month or so. Can you get the current wallet staking up on your own? Yes, that's a very, very common question and comes up a lot in the tech support channels. The current version of Daedalus is working much, much better. That's version 2.2.0 TAC ITN1. If you're not using that version, please make sure you go to staking.cardano.org and get the latest version of Daedalus. However, people are also still having issues connecting to network is the most common, and there are a few problems where the Cardano node crashed. If you're having problems, you can get a quick response in the Cardano Tech Support Telegram. It doesn't always help though, And if you're patient, you can use the IOHK Zendesk where you get professional support and then maybe they get you up and running. But what I suggest is if you're having problems with the Daedalus wallet is use Yoroi Mobile, because Yoroi Mobile will allow you to put multiple wallets. I haven't done it yet, but so first of all, Yoroi Mobile, you have your Mainnet wallet in there. You also put in your Testnet wallet, and it appears you can put in multiple Testnet wallets. I haven't tried it yet, but it let me do it when I selected. I created one wallet. I put one of my wallets in there, and then I went to create another wallet, and it was going to let me put in another one. So I think Yoroi Mobile might be the champ right now. If you're still having problems with Daedalus, get that Yoroi Mobile. You can have all your wallets in one place, and I think the future of crypto lies on mobile devices. Okay, mobile devices are going to be the way to go. Uncle Chop Chop, I hope I answered your question. You do have the latest 2.2 and you have the same result. I understand. Yeah, it's still not perfect. I think the problems are more on the network side of the house, because every time you boot up Daedalus, it first queries the IOHK trusted peers and downloads the blockchain. Then from there, it redirects out to all the other peers, to all the other pool operator nodes. In the future, as time goes on, at some point, it's not even going to need to, or it shouldn't need to contact an IOHK trusted peer to get online. But the key right now is to get it performing reliably. I've seen an improvement, but still not perfect. Still needs some work there. Excuse me. I hope you can hear me well. I can't hear well. I've got an airport and some helicopters and jets over there, so it's kind of noisy over here. If you've ever been to San Diego, you know what I'm talking about. All right, hope I answered your question there. So other things on the testnet, the incentivized testnet, it's stable and reliable. It's running stable and reliable. The operators are reporting relatively good performance. Still a few relatively new operators running into a few hiccups, but those will probably be resolved. Ouroboros is working correctly. So this is not the network layer, but the incentive layer. Ouroboros is working correctly. It's distributing rewards. The incentives are working correctly. There are almost no saturated pools left. All the pools are below saturation. So people have learned to go to non-saturated pools, and they've learned to trust the non-saturated pools. And what the pool operators learned is they've learned to be reliable, that if they have stake on the line, that it increases their motivation to keep the node up and running. It helps them manage risk because the pool operators don't want to lose customers. And yeah, so that keeps the whole network running pretty well with a very, very large number of nodes. There's about 270 nodes that are block producers. There's a total of about 840 nodes that are listed in Daedalus, and probably 1,000 pools registered. But functionally, you're looking at between 300 and 800 functional nodes that are running at the moment. Okay. Whenever I check my TCP connections, I'm seeing at least 600. So you're looking at 600 live nodes from what I'm seeing out there. So the network is in pretty good shape, and it is a test net. It looks like we are doing really good for testnet. So I think the next things we need to do on testnet, I do not know if there's a plan. The testnet needs load testing. It needs to have a very heavy transaction load placed on it so that the operators can see how their nodes respond. Because come mainnet, let's say 6 months from now, when Shelley's decentralized and there are a large number of users, the increased transaction load on the network is going to increase the processing load on the nodes. A lot of pool operators right now are trying to run 2 vCPU 4 gig RAM nodes. I don't think those nodes are going to survive heavy transaction loads. The pool operators are going to need to find out, because we're going to need to get some heavy load testing. The network needs to be spam tested, where invalid transactions are scattered across the network, and verify that they are correctly rejected. I don't know of any spam testing. I used to do spam testing. I haven't done it lately. I can try it myself, but I don't have a formal way of measuring the results or the response of the network. The only thing I can do is see do the nodes work. So it needs to have heavy transaction testing. It needs some spam testing done on it, and it needs to be attacked. Okay, the network needs to come under various forms of attack. I don't know how you would test that. That would test the TCP/IP portion of the network. So I think some sort of attack testing needs to be done, and it also needs to have protocol attack testings for like the things like stake bleeding and Sybil attacks, and not necessarily 51% attacks. That's really, really, really hard to do, but somehow simulate that it does withstand various forms of attack, both at the TCP level and at the protocol level on the incentive side. Okay, so that you can prove in practically and in reality that the protocol will withstand attack in the wild. I don't know if they're going to implement pledge. I still don't know if that's going to be implemented to reduce the Sybil attacks. Another update on the testnet, or the current status, is the lowering the fee percentage is not yet implemented. In 0.8.10, they released a version there that was going to allow operators to do it, but pulled back and are not going to allow the fee change yet until the wallets and the other support apps can tell the delegators and the stakers that a fee has changed, a pool fee. Right now it's called a tax. I think tax is a really, really, really bad word to use. If the IRS asked me, what do you do for a living? And I told them I tax people, well, they're going to be pissed because that's their job, right? They're going to be like, what, you tax people? Hand it over, pal. So pool fee. So when the pool fees are enabled in the wallets like Daedalus and Yoroi and available on the third-party apps, then they'll put in the ability to raise and lower fees. But currently it is not enabled. Let me check to see if you have any questions. That's pretty much all I have for the status of the testnet. So fee changes are not enabled, but they are coming. You will eventually, the pool operators will have the ability to lower fees, at least possibly raise fees. Let's see, another question there. Sugar Zeus, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you there. Oh, Sugar Zeus, looking forward for videos on how to run your own pool soon after all these testing phases. If things are starting to stabilize, I would like to get one out sooner than later, but at this point, it's going to be best for me to wait until the Haskell version is released. And then myself and Hishoshi plan to get together and make a really high quality video on how to set up a Haskell node. Uncle Chop asks, how many pools you got going? Right now I have 6. I have 2 leader nodes that are running on 0.8.9 stable alpha 6. And I have 4 passive nodes. 3 of them are running on 0.8.12 or 13 or variations thereof, and a third passive node as a backup running on 0.8.9. 0.8.9 stays at the tip. That means it stays at the bleeding point of the blockchain at extremely high speed. 0.8.13 does suffer some block lag. So I have to do risk assessment, and I look at it and I say, okay, 13 is the latest and greatest, but if it lags a block or two, it will likely fail to create a block and get it. Well, it'll create it, but it will not be accepted to the blockchain. So the right thing to do is use 0.8.9 because it stays at the tip at extremely high speed at the tip of the blockchain. So when it does create a block, that it does work. But yeah, 6 pools or running right now on a high-powered Mac Pro 64 gigabyte, 12-core, 24-thread processor. It's powerful enough to run 6. I think I can run 12 on it. I think I can run 12 pools. It's a very powerful server. Even though it's old, even though it's a 2013, it was built right in the first place. So it's working out pretty good. The next question is it time-consuming to run nodes? Yes and no. At the beginning of the testnet, it was extremely time-consuming. It was a nearly 24-hour-a-day monitoring operation. If you weren't personally, physically monitoring and checking it, it was time-consuming. Currently, it is not as time-consuming. You still have to periodically check it and make sure that it is running correctly. However, on the latest builds 0.8.9 and above, the software runs reliably enough to where it's cut down the time consumption to a couple, 2 or 3 hours a day of checking on them, making sure they're working correctly, restarting them, changing the configuration, or updating the software, just to keep them running well. So it is much less time consuming now. I'd say 2 or 3 hours a day. We used to have automated scripts prior to 0.8.7, 0.8.6 and earlier. You had to have scripts running, monitoring. Now the problem with the monitoring tools are killing the nodes. So it's like, well, if you don't monitor it, it might die when you're not looking. If you do monitor it, it'll die, and then you won't know it died, or unless you look at it. So it was very time consuming. Since 0.8.9, that hasn't been the case. You can kind of turn it on and let it rip, check on it periodically, much less time consuming. So, and I anticipated that would happen. You would expect the software to improve over time to where it becomes reliable. I mean, theoretically, but a lot of softwares like this, I used to run proof of work miners with my sons. They primarily ran the proof of work miners. You turn it on, let it rip, forget about it. Just run for days and days and days, and you didn't have to worry about it, and just poop that money. It prints money. Okay. Yeah. 2 to 3 hours is a small amount of time now compared to what it was in late December, early January. But we've achieved what we wanted to. I'm very impressed with where the testnet is now. I'm very happy with where it's at. Okay. Let me see if I had anything else. I took a few notes. I got on the end of life, how I'm running my nodes. No fee change yet. The incentives are working correctly. All that's good. Any other questions, let me know. I didn't want to run too long on a Friday night, but Friday night is a good time to get out and have some fun. Crypto HNTR says, hi, Rick, great work with Digi2. Love it. When do you think Shelley mainnet? I think it's going to be May now. I was estimating mid-April to early May. I think it's going to be early May, mid-May. It's going to be a little bit later because the end of life for Jormungandr Rust version of the testnet is now the end of March. And here's why I think that. Here's my estimate. We're going to have to get the Haskell testnet online and run it for a couple of weeks for people to learn it, understand it, make sure they got it running right, and then correct any remaining problems, or not problems, but tune it. Get it tuned to where it will interact with hundreds and hundreds, if not 1,000 nodes. That's going to take a few weeks. And then it's going to have to run for a couple of weeks under load to make sure that it's good to go. So you're looking at, 3 or 4 weeks, operators getting ramped up and the tuning process, and then at least a couple of weeks verifying that it is running correctly under load. And then it would go to Shelley testnet. That's only my estimate, probably a fair estimate, early to mid-May, leaning towards the middle of May now, vice the middle of April. Okay. Any other questions? Sugar Zeus asks, what do you think on reporting our testnet ADA stake rewards as net income and reporting it when you sell? Sugar Zeus, I have no idea. I'm not very good at that at all. I just got to read, I just have to read the current US tax laws and try my best to get it right. I don't like the idea of double tax. That's not good. I think if you believe wherever location you live, the taxes are messed up, write your elected representatives. It will make a difference. The only way the elected representatives will know that there's a problem is if you write them and tell them that there's something wrong with the way the taxes are being done, because this is all new territory and the tax officials might not have the laws refined. You might have in the US, like in the US, you got federal tax, state tax, local tax. You got all these different layers of tax. You got income tax, you have capital gains tax, and they got to pick one. Property tax. Okay, so it really should fall under simply one category. Either crypto is personal property and it gets taxed as a personal property when you sell it, either that, or it should be taxed as an income tax for staking purposes, if you're staking and you're getting revenues on that, or maybe someday they'll put in an IRA for the US, like a Roth IRA, and you can pay your taxes either up front and then it's no longer taxable in the future, or it's tax-free up front and you pay the taxes once you cash it in. So, but it needs to pick a path. If it has multiple paths, then that's not good. Double taxing the crypto is not good. It should work the same way as money. It should work the same way as cash. It is that easy, okay? It is that simple. But that doesn't mean the laws are correct yet, or that doesn't mean the laws are optimized yet. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not very good at taxes. I get a tax guy to help me out, and there you go. So I hope I answered your question, Sugar Zeus. It is complicated. I hope it works out. Do your best. Good luck. Don't get in trouble. All right. Let me see. Any other questions on the testnet? An interesting question on taxes. I wasn't ready for that one. Any other questions AMA wise? Any random questions? Put me on a hot seat. Ask me something random. See if I can respond. I'll give myself 5 seconds to give you a valid response. I don't know is also a valid response. Okay, looks like I covered everything. All right, any other questions? No other questions? I'm going to wrap up. Let me check the chat, make sure I didn't miss any of your questions. Looks like I got everything. Can't see if it's still rolling. Oh, Uncle Chop Chop said at one point, Hacienda is Spanish for Bitcoin. I wish it was. I don't know what Hacienda means, but this is a beautiful place. I love staying here. I travel a lot. So if I'm going to travel, you may as well stay somewhere. You know, I don't want to stay in a hotel that got like mirrors on the ceiling and DNA evidence on the furniture. You know what I'm saying? No. Sorry, I can't do that. Not too often anyway. Don't want to do that. Okay. Let's see. Anything else? No other questions. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. I lost track of my windows. I got too many windows open. Thank you everyone for being here. I hope you enjoyed the AMA and the update. Testnet is going well. If you're having problems with Daedalus, try Yoroi. Yoroi Mobile seems to be championship right now. I have all three of them, Daedalus, Yoroi, Yoroi Mobile. There is a third-party wallet called Medusa out there, and it looks like ledger support might be coming for the mainnet for staking from a ledger. So let's hope that gets completed. Y'all have a good evening and a great weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.